I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And, oh, I almost said Salty. Chip and Vita.
We're at the Behemoth show.
You heard that guy?
Yeah.
Tell Salty I said hi. He started laughing.
Hi, Salty. He's down. He's back
He's
there.
over there. He's resting.
We got Rocky here though instead.
Yeah.
I like Rocky. Shout out to Behemoth. Full show review coming very soon, ladies and gentlemen.
That's obviously old water.
So shout out to them.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I can't wait to do that.
Forgot the name of
We're
this
just
guy.
probably gonna do it later when I don't have a headache.
Yeah. I forgot the name of this guy. But
Which guy?
the dude that requests this like every day.
Oh,
he
man,
requests
I know.
this like twice a day.
Yeah.
And somebody made a
Speaking
comment.
of requests, you got to go to the website vinandsori.com, and
Yep.
that's where you put in your request. You can put one request in per day, so jump on in there and put out your requests.
Yeah. And then of course there's the Patreon Alliance, which is the I think it's I forgot which alliance it was, but they they ended up with the Epic Underground Alliance. They've got 200 Patreon points. God Almighty. And they've got 60 members. It's
Whoa.
yeah. I said, you guys need to shoot
A video.
a video on how the hell to do that.
I know.
So that gives them a ton of leverage to
It does.
to do stuff. But anyway, this dude is not a Patreon person, and he hasn't yet submitted anything on the website. So I completely contradicted our model. But he's been asking all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. So
Well, he just happened to get on his because there's so many people saying, I've been asking all the time. I've been in 100 times. So just because you've asked 100 times
people make
doesn't
up
mean...
stuff. People make up something like, this is a 634th request.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like this guy, I've seen it over and over again. So anyway, Portrait of a Headless Man by Septicflesh. This should be interesting.
No
Wait,
doubt.
where'd the lyrics go? Where'd they go? Right there. Go! Yeah.
I like it.
Middle Eastern shit.
Oh my word.
Well, some of this was we just got done a live show,
Yeah.
and I was thinking to myself, imagine hearing this shit live.
This?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, me too. It's exactly what I was thinking.
And knowing when everything's gonna drop, knowing when that heavy
oh
shit's
my word.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Damn, what a good song. Why didn't you request this earlier?
Yeah, that's gonna really stink when you know it's such a good song and you're like, just listen to it, you know, and you can't get the person to listen. And this thing didn't really have a lot of views on mine. It only had like 74,000, which is super low. I mean, a lot of the songs that we generally will like review, they're like stuff that's been viewed millions of times. But this was like so low, I was like, meh.
These guys are, this is a special song.
This is
It's not a good song, it's a special song. Mm-hmm. You don't get a lot of special songs.
Yeah.
This song is special, wallah. I mean, you heard that Middle Eastern flair, that Mediterranean?
Yep.
You know, like every time you watch a Jesus movie, you always hear that stuff?
Yeah.
You
and
know?
then there was an epic sound to it.
Yeah, symphonic, synthy, and then just
and
regular.
It was so hard and so heavy. It was like exactly what I wanted to hear right now. That was just perfect. I really liked it.
That was amazing.
I was like worried because I have such a headache right now. I'm like, oh no, metal and a headache. But this one was so good. Like I didn't even feel the headache while I was listening to it.
Oh man, I want to see this live.
Oh my gosh.
Go back to another show. Kind of addicting a little bit.
Yeah, somebody actually sent a message that said, honey, can you please not scroll the screen up and down? I don't know what to do not to make my head hurt too much. They said that it's like, I don't know if it's true, but they said like that, like, I guess like, it's like healthy for people to go to shows, like it's good for their well-being.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think that's true. Like, I do.
Yeah, well, if you're not going to go to church, you gotta have some sort of communal pilgrimagey type of experience with people who are like-minded, and it's good to be in a situation where for a moment in time everybody's thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
It's good for the psychology.
Yeah.
Watch all.
Anyway, lyrically,
I think I have an idea. We're just gonna have to.
Somebody just put a comment that said, a self-proclaimed metal elitist, but I couldn't see the rest of the message.
Boy.
So I know what it meant to me, but I'm not sure.
What did it mean to you?
I mean, maybe it meant the same thing. Like, in a world controlled by fire, psychotic preachers thrive because, you know, they're always like hellfire and brimstone preachers. Mm-hmm. And so they thrive in a world that is controlled by fire. Like, well, if the world's gonna end in fire, or you're gonna burn, and it controls people.
Yeah.
Is that not what you got from it?
I think this is about the media. That's what it looks like to me. And the influence of the media.
So, like, the fire is like global warming and stuff? And use the waves to bind us? Like the waves, like...
Well, it's 2017 when this song came out.
Yeah.
So, if you think about... And I don't know where these guys are from, but if you think about Brexit, if you think about Trump, the fire is like the world is at war with each other internally. And then you have these psychotic preachers. If you put it in the context of the media... You got these talking heads who are thriving on getting all the masses stirred up to hate each other, and there's all this fire in the air, and nobody's doing anything to diffuse it. You know, there's just all this mania that's happening.
What made
in the world.
You think it was political and not religious?
They use the waves to bind us. They use the screens to blind us. You know, the airwaves, and then the screens.
I thought smoke screens. Like,
what'd you get for waves?
I just thought it was like just the different things that come into a society, the different things, like they just ride on everything and use that as an opportunity to be like, oh, now those people are, pushing people, oh, now there's this, and oh, don't do that, or you'll go to hell, or don't do this, and there's all these waves to ride on as each new fad comes in.
Yeah, I took waves literally as in earwaves and screens. How they use the waves to bind us.
Yep.
And the screens to blind us, because now you can't see any other point of view because you're watching Fox News or you're watching MSNBC. Mm-hmm. So you're completely blinded to the... we've bemoaned that a bunch of times here. It's like both sides can't see the obvious issues that they've created.
Yeah.
And they want to blame the complete other side. And there literally are... Like, we've talked to people on Firesides. They're literally oblivious to the fact that their side is contributing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And both sides are.
Right.
And I'm not saying like there's a complete equivalence, especially considering last week's events, but both sides are contributing to a terrible environment.
Yeah. No, it's true.
But that's just one example of how you get blinded because you're watching so much media that skews reality into one perspective. And you literally, there's people that we know that were born and raised in this state, and they watch Fox News, and literally that's all they know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's their only understanding of reality. And they're like literally blinded to anybody else's like view of the world.
Right.
Like they can't even process that it could be right.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not saying like you have to kind of take this postmodern, oh, they could be right, they could be right. I'm saying have your conviction, believe what you believe, and then test it.
Right.
Right? In the pursuit of truth.
I think that a lot of times, though, that people,
I want to make sure that...
I think it's destabilizing to people to think that there could be more than just one way, or that there's something in the middle. Like, it's easier to just be like, nope, this is the way, and then just stick with that one thought, you know what I mean? Instead of saying, okay, well, we could be wrong, and it takes a lot more work and a lot more, thinking and listening to be able to actually get all the facts. You know what I'm saying? To actually...
Yeah, but the job of the media is basically there shouldn't be a side, period. The media should just be reporting what's there and then let us come to the conclusions.
Yeah.
But now you've got clearly partisan media, and so now you kind of have to do the work as a citizen to sift through all the bullshit, basically. I hate to say it that way, but that's the idea.
No, that's the truth. And that's what makes it so confusing. Is, well, there's this, and it's got that twist to it, and there's that, and it's got that twist to it, and then so then it's much simpler to just say, well, I believe Fox News,
right?
Well, I believe CNN. I believe, you
carry the flag, and that's it,
right?
Yeah.
So I joined the HeadLess forces. What'd you get out of that?
They told us what to do. We worked. We fought. We bled.
Yeah. Basically, what you were just explaining.
I just think you just, and of course you have to figure out what the term headless means. Lewis had this concept of men without chests, but
no heart.
Yeah, they had no heart. They were just kind of like. It's interesting because it seems to me that to be headless means that you no longer are able to think for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've joined the collective. You've joined some collective and you are no longer able to exercise any sort of cognitive independence.
Yeah. Yeah.
I joined HeadLess Forces. They told us what to do, which, the very next line kind of substantiates my theory on that. We worked, we fought, we bled. It's like the interplay between politicians and the media is very, very... It's actually scary. We're so used to it now. We're so socialized to this type of thing, but it's actually pretty terrifying. Yeah. Because they can pass all types of legislations that you will think that you're okay with, but you're only okay with it because MSNBC or Fox
in a certain way to make you feel like that.
Yeah, they contextualized it in a certain way.
Yeah, I know.
So now it's like, hey, we'll work for. Let's work for $9 an hour in a crazy inflated economy. That's good.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, like, we need $15 an hour, as if that's really going to solve the problem.
Yeah.
As if these corporations don't know how to say, oh, well, we'll just cut this, we'll cut that, we'll cut your hours, and now we don't have to pay insurance. We're still in the black. You know what I mean? Like, we worked, we fought, we bled. I remember one of the big wake-up calls for me was like the whole Iraq war. Where I was completely all for the Iraq war. And at the time I was like at the ground zero of evangelicalism, so we're watching Fox News. You know, and so it's like, yeah, you fought, sure, and yeah, you were willing to whatever, but your whole mindset was shaped by the media and what certain folks. So it's like it's a scary idea that you can make decisions and you really think that you're making decisions.
I know. But
in reality, those decisions have been shaped by a politico-media complex.
And I think that a lot of people don't realize it, so it's not even really that scary to them because they don't even realize that they've been tricked in that way.
And that's when they've accomplished the headlessness. Right. And that's why I say, like, when we have the firesides and people debate back and forth and stuff like that, like, I love the debate back and forth in the sense of let's exchange ideas and throw them against the wall and see which one is really consistent with itself. What I don't love is the ad hominem. Not only because I don't like people attacking each other personally, but also because I'm like, common people, regular people do not benefit from that type of thing. Right. But the people controlling the media and the political situation, they benefit when we can't talk to each other.
Well, yeah. Right.
Because then it's like, oh, that's right, you can't talk to those people. Come back into your little echo chamber.
Exactly.
And then they have you.
Exactly.
You have no hope.
Yeah.
The only hope that we have is to civilly discourse with one another.
It's very smart on their part.
Yeah. And then people say, oh, it's a waste of time, da-da-da-da. It's like, it's not about convincing the other person. Right. It's about hearing what the other person has to say.
Yeah, I think that's something that was
carefully.
Very well accomplished on the firesides. Don't scroll yet because I'm going to say what my thoughts were on that. But I think that that's been accomplished very well in the fireside chats. You know what I mean? You know, I think it's been accomplished very well in the fireside chats, where you've had people call in, you've had conversations with people have had conversations with other people, and then they walk away, and it seemed like a lot of times that the people are like, all right, I love you, man, you know what I mean, and everybody's clear, right. And like, a lot of people, like, that's like the big thing that I heard so many people saying yesterday when we met tons of people from the village. You know, like, a lot of people were just saying, thank you, I learned so much, like, saying how much they learn, and the firesides were actually something that was brought up a significant amount yesterday. So it was just like, yeah, like
really?
People, lots of people were saying it to me. Yep. It was really interesting, like, how many people. I mean, I'm not surprised because it is a good learning environment. I mean, you're a good teacher, but it's beyond that. It's people coming together and we're learning from everybody. You know, you can learn when you disagree with somebody and learn when you agree with them both.
Yeah, and we're working on setting up a separate channel.
Yeah, so you guys will get that again. It's
the firesides are not going away.
Right. We're just trying more things so that way we can get full-time faster before the baby's born, hopefully.
But
okay, so I had for that one, for me, they use the waves to bind us, which I said, like, the different ways of, like, oh, you know, and that brings us together. So, I mean, you guys know that I had gone to a Bible college. So I was like, you know, I grew up in the church, and then I went away to a Bible college, and the Bible college that I went to was way more restrictive than even the church that I had gone to. The church that I went to, I wouldn't even say it was really that restrictive.
Yeah.
It was more another church that would influence my parents.
The church that you went to didn't really seem to have the energy to be that restrictive.
He was like laid back on stuff. Yeah, he wasn't like, but he wasn't the type of pastor that, you know, sees a demon under every rock and everything's a devil and you're gonna lose your sight. I don't even know where I got. I don't even remember him teaching that you would, you know, could lose your salvation all the time. Like, I don't remember him teaching that. I don't know where I got it from.
Well, you need a lot of energy and a culture to create the type of oppressiveness that you're talking about in Bible college.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't one person.
No, it was an entire system in the college.
Whereas your church, it was just one guy and everybody pretty much, you know, you didn't have a culture where people were like,
yeah, but he didn't have that. He wasn't that type of person either.
Right.
I mean, there's some people that are just like, they want to like control. And anyway, so they use the waves to bind us. So like at this college, they would do that a lot. They would, remember when that Jesus movie came out?
The Passion.
Yeah. So they all brought us into the chapel and they talked about how bad. Well, at first they were saying how good that movie was and how that was going to like bring people together and it was going to like cross cultures because it was mostly, I guess, I don't know if they were going to translate into a bunch of different languages or something. So it was like, one teacher was super excited about it, and then I guess word got to like the head person, and then the head person said that it was really, really bad, and it was actually really terrible because it actually came from some Catholic stuff, and like everybody was. So then they had another meeting, and they brought everybody in, like it was this big serious thing, and they were like, "This is really bad. Nobody's supposed to go." They would tell you too, like when you were in the college, you couldn't go to like the movie theaters or anything like that, even when you were on your vacations. And so they were like, if your families want to go to watch this passion movie, we're not telling you can't, but what we're saying is we are very highly. I mean, they were twisting it in such a way where if you went and then you got found out that you went, then everybody was going to look down on you like, wow, aren't you the pagan of the group? So nobody wanted to be that guy or that girl.
I'd have been that guy.
So yeah, I know you would. You wouldn't have even been there. You'd have left. So that, and then they used the screens to blind us. Was just, these smoke screens that there's this going on, and this is like this, and there was always like this. There was always like these things, like it just created like, there was already fearful people, and then it just created all this like more fear, like even stuff that was like that other Christians were okay with. They were like, no, you couldn't, Lord of the Rings or the Narnia series, stuff that you can get like really good stuff out of.
I remember when I first met you, you were like,
yeah, I thought it was
surprised
really,
you were against
bad.
the passion. I'm like, she doesn't like the passion? Okay.
Yeah, we thought it was like really, really bad. And then it says I joined HeadLess forces. They told us what to do. We worked, we fought, we bled. That part made me emotional because we did. And I'm like a strong person, I guess, like I have my own thoughts, but there was outside reasons why I went along with the party line there. Even though I didn't agree with everything that I saw. I mean, there was plenty that I agreed with then that I look back and I don't agree with now. But I joined, and people looked at me as like one of like the stronger leaderish type of people. They would put me in position and stuff like that to lead things or whatever. And it was a very oppressive environment, and I was required to report if anybody broke any small rule. I was required to report that. So you're always, it was a tough environment. And then now, like a lot of these people, a lot of the people that went to school there, they're not like, they don't like walk with God or have any relationship with Jesus or anything like that. And then it bothers me because, like everything that we do in this community that we're doing, like, it's not oppressive. You know what I mean? Like people can come in and they can listen to our channel, and they don't have to be a Christian. They don't have to, believe in the Bible. They just, if they just want to come in and listen, that's cool. Like whatever. We're not trying to push anything on anybody. And I love the environment in the way that it is and the freedom that there is there, where they didn't have that there. And so I feel, a sense of responsibility, and that kind of goes into the second. So we worked, we fought, we bled, we did. We worked so hard there, and we put out so much to try to get people into the religion because we felt like if they need to be in, or else they're gonna go to hell, or you know what I mean. There was all this pressure. It wasn't about really getting to know somebody and listening to, we listened to people, but it wasn't like this. Like this is very relaxed.
It was a means to an end instead of just knowing another person.
Yeah. Or maybe that's how I like understood it. Maybe they were communicating something different than that. I don't know. But it always felt like a means to an end. So a cogwheel in the system, a ghost in the machine. In my private thoughts, only pain felt real. You felt like that, like you were just part of something else. You lost your individuality because you couldn't really be yourself, because yourself, you had to fit properly. Well, a cogwheel, that's those little things that are like, it fits right into place and it twists into another piece. And so everybody has to play this certain part so that way the whole thing can function. But now everybody's losing who they are individually. We had to all dress the same. We had to all, everything that made you separate, you had to like, to take away. And then in my private thoughts
the Bible, that's just very interesting because you have Romans 14 where Paul says, somebody's a vegan.
I know.
The guy like eats animals. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Don't try to make the vegan the other way. Don't try to make the other guy the other way.
No, it wasn't like that.
Leave it. One guy wants to celebrate a day, the other guy doesn't want to celebrate. Leave it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not germane to what... There are unifying principles to what makes a Christian, but those are lo-fi. There's about 2 or 3 things that...
Yeah.
God believe Jesus rose from the dead.
Right.
God, right? Like, God... Like, the very small... You don't need to believe that a great fish swallowed Jonah alive. Uh-huh. You should. I think you should.
Right.
But you don't need to.
Right.
To be a Christian. So, like, that was the genius of the early church. Mm-hmm. Was because they sat back and they said, okay, we're a bunch of Jews and we're gonna like export this thing globally. There's no way in the world that we can blow this thing up if we just make it about the minutiae of following Judaism.
Right.
So let's make entry into the group very lo-fi, and then you express that however you can do it, so long as you're not, doing crazy stuff. And then just be who you are. And then you saw the inevitable conflicts that were going to happen.
Yep.
Because we come from this particular cultural milieu, so you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to look like this, and da-da-da-da. And then the leaders of the church of the first century said, no. Let them be who they are. Leave it alone. Keep the main thing, and leave them alone. Let them do what they want to. And it's very, very interesting, because it's like, if the first Christian leaders would have operated the church the way that churches like that operate, forget it. It'd be a footnote. It'd be a footnote in history.
Yep.
That's not exportable to the planet.
Right. Right.
It's crazy. It's really crazy stuff.
So it's just, you feel like that, and then like you couldn't express anything out. Like if you felt anything, like if you felt angry or you felt sad or whatever, like all of those emotions expressed made you a weak person and not a good fit in the cog. So if you wanted to have like a position where you could go out and do things and whatever, like the more strength you could project, the better off you'd be. I was very good at projecting that strength, and so it was only like inside, in my own thoughts, where I would be like, I wouldn't say like tormented, but very, very bothered by some of the things that I would see going on, some of the ways that they would treat people, This one girl, she left on, it was like the Thanksgiving thing, and she came back, and she was pregnant. And they kicked her out of the school in the middle of the night. Like they didn't like put her out on the street, but they had her family come in the middle of the night, and like it was like this big secretive thing, and so that nobody knew like where'd she go, like what happened. Like she was just gone in the middle of the night. And like I look back and I'm like, oh, I was so wrong. Like to put that shame on her that she was carrying a child, and then just to make her feel like that, like, yeah, I get it, like she, technically according to the Bible she should be married before she has sex.
Sure. They
were engaged. She was trying to finish the college first. But
which biblically being engaged is betrothal. I mean, you were basically married anyway.
Yeah. So
it's like, okay, all right.
But there was just, I mean, that's just one of a million things.
Yeah.
But now I just look back and I see so then he says, I'm crying in the portrait of a headless man. I don't know what the laughing is about, but for me it was like I look back and there's like parts of me that like are so sad because I think about just the carnage that's there. There's so much carnage from that time and from that system. Like there's so many people that like hate religion, hate anything that has to do with God because of that. And I think just being a part of this channel and everything that we do here, I'm like, this would have been so much better for so many of those people, not to be under that oppressive system. And
yeah, we should have took them.
But I took part in it.
Our atheist friends, and
I took part in it. I was like,
they'd have been a lot more mentally stable, couldn't I?
But I was a headless person following my leaders. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't making up the rules.
Well, there's a line there that says like, I followed great deceivers, believed in headless leaders.
Yeah.
So the leaders are headless too.
Yeah.
Whether it's political or whatever.
And the reason that fits is, so you remember that one teacher that came in he was like, this is going to pull people together. This passion of the Christ, this is so good. And then all of a sudden, no, he's just a headless leader too, because it all came down to that one person and what she said.
Yeah.
And it said, I'm a man with strong regrets.
Yeah.
It kind of sounded like he said wrong regrets when he said it.
Strong.
I'm sure he said strong, but it could kind of double.
Yeah.
Because, like, part of it is, yes, I have strong regrets, but at the same time, they're kind of wrong regrets because, like, I was taught by my leaders, and the reason that I was susceptible to that particular school was because things that I had been taught, you know what I mean? Who was susceptible to theirs, and...
You know, I talk about this a lot because I usually get put in some sort of leadership position.
Yeah.
And I've had to fight like mad to get people to think for themselves and to not have me think for them and not have me do Christianity for them. People ask a question, I'd say, well, what do you think? And then people would always get upset at me.
Yeah.
I remember Bible said you used to get upset at me. Like, if I'm asking you a question, it's because I want an answer.
Yeah, that's because at that point, like, I was doing plenty of my own thinking. Like, I was doing plenty of my own studying, whatever. Like, but now I'm stuck at a certain point. I just need to know your thoughts on this. And my relationship with you at that point was not really like friendship. Right. It was like, it was a very like, it was transactional. Okay, I'm over here. I need the information from you, and I'm leaving. Yeah.
I put my quarter in.
I don't even know what my quarter was. I guess it was bringing cakes to your kids or something.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
Yes, I did. I used to bake stuff. As if you don't remember that. You know what? You probably didn't see it. I would like come over and it would barely get in the door and they would all start digging. I was like,
I've never seen that. Like, this is the first I'm hearing this.
Well, I used to bring it to you.
Like people, but people want you to, as a leader, people want you to think for them and all that.
Yeah.
And I've been around other leaders too, where they think that that's the normal course of life. That's how it's supposed to be, and you know.
I used to tell so many people what to think.
Peterson talks.
That was how I thought it was supposed to run.
Well, it's
Leaders
like
tell people what to think.
Well, look, you put out a view or a conviction or whatever, and you say this is what I strongly believe.
Yeah.
Right. But you know, it's like when we were doing that whole post-mill thing. We were talking about certain views on the end of the world, and I just presented the major views in Christianity. I said, here they are.
Yep.
And these are mine. This is what I believe about the end of the world. Mm-hmm. But here's the other ones, and now you can see why they're not crazy. But here where I think the flaws are.
Yep.
That went over pretty well, though. Yep. But for the most part, people would get very resentful of me for not just spoon feeding them. The thing. So it's like, you know, whoever runs these systems. When you become a person that people want to follow, like you see very quickly that people want to surrender their cognition and their will to you. Mm-hmm. Even there where it says, cry, I'm crying in the portrait, laugh, I'm laughing in the portrait. I think that's the media / leadership's way of not only manipulating your mind, but also your emotions.
Oh.
Remember I told you, like, being an author is such a powerful thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we were watching some story or whatever, and in the entire story, the guy was a car thief. He'd steal people's cars. Mm-hmm. And at the end, there were all these cops waiting for him, and you were hoping somehow he would kill the cops or something.
I know.
And get it. So it's like they've manipulated you to emotionally connect with somebody who's cognitively against everything that that you stand for. But that's the power of media, which writing is a form of media. Mm-hmm. That storytelling creates that type of even emotional connection to something. Mm-hmm. That, you know, it was like Lost. Like, one of the main characters dies and it's like terrible and you get all teary. Then another guy dies and they made it funny. He blew up. Remember he was talking all that? He knew talking like and then boom, he blew up and it was like hilarious. I know. We saw skin parts falling and I couldn't stop laughing. Right? Yeah. And it's like the ability to manipulate how you even feel. Yeah. It's on the line of supernatural. And that's why so many movies have such political angles to them. Well, yeah. I know. And I didn't realize that they did until it was just... Yeah, you sit back and go, this is this freaking guy. You started pointing stuff out to me. I was like, what? Listen to what they're doing, yeah. I thought this was just a regular movie. Is there anything, like, is there any regular movies? There's no hidden agenda with? So yeah, but I do think though, if I look at the song list, Our Church Below the Sea, The
Martyr,
Gospels of
Enemy of
Fear, Trinity,
yeah.
Martyr,
Third Testament,
Dante's Inferno, I do think that there is a religious undertone here. And I do think also that there's a confluence between the media, the political establishment, and the religious establishment. More so on the right than there is on the left. Of course, the left-wing guys have the mainline churches, which we would call them liberals, and that they've sold out the heart of the gospel or whatever. But there's like a trinity of media, politics, and religion. So if we ever get to do Trinity, I'm wondering if that's even what it's about. Because I just said media, politics, and religion. I said, oh, that's 3.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. I don't know. Great. What?
You didn't even know before you were saying that that's what you were saying?
Yeah, I didn't know.
Imagine being so brilliant that you just...
What do you give the song?
A 10. This is no less than a 10.
Yeah.
And 10 feels too small of a number.
It looks like the first ever Sori 10.5, maybe.
Yeah, oh yeah, it is. 10.5, 11, 12, 18,
11,000.
11. Anybody ever see that gone fishing? We used to get a big kick out of that water. Hey, you dorks!
Yeah, it's a 9 for me. That heavy riff I've heard a lot of times in my travels.
Oh.
The variation of it.
Well.
But they used it very, very well.
Yeah.
They placed it very well, and they didn't oversaturate the song with the riff. I thought it was brilliant idea, brilliant concept. This is another. There's so many records.
Wait. I gotta say one more thing. Scroll where they said they played their game, right there. True Sons of Cain. I was like, yo, because that's how it essentially. Yeah. So, obviously, Cain was the one that went away from God. He's the one that killed his brother, the whole 9. Right. And like when you think about it, here you had these religious leaders that were standing in a place that should have been bringing people closer to God.
Right.
But when a huge percentage, and I'm talking huge percentage, of people that were under your care no longer want anything to do with God and hate God because of you.
Well, Jesus talked about, you go over land and sea to make a single convert, and then you make them twice as son of hell as you. But I was a hopeless dreamer with my head deep in the clouds. Yikes. Yikes.
Right, and that's how I felt.
Yeah.
So this one just hit really close to home. The very reason why I went to the college was because I just wanted to make religion my own, and I didn't want to just stand on what my parents had. And that seemed like a good spot, and there was many signs, and I ignored them all.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the weaknesses of our communities. Like, they're very able to see through that when it comes to religion, but they're not able to see through that when it comes to politics.
Right. You need to look at it in all of them.
Political leaders on the right and the left have the exact same template.
Yeah.
They use very, very close to the exact same template.
Yeah.
So you just have to be watchful, because a lot of the people on our level, in the social strata are idealistic, believe that the world can change, believe that they can affect it for a positive. Yeah. You wouldn't be as emotionally invested if you were completely jaded about our current climate. Mm-hmm. And there are demigods on the right and the left. Right. That take that and take advantage of that. Yep. And turn you into something that at the end of it you wouldn't recognize as yourself. Yep. So you got to be careful about that. Definitely with religious people. That'll screw you. But political people are not far behind. Like this like oversimplistic, silly view of history where it's like religion is the core problem. Yeah. I was watching a Facebook conversation. It's like religion wasn't the main theme of the 20th century. Yeah. Last century's wars, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam, none of those were about religion. Right. Like, yeah. And we just spent 20 minutes going after religion. I have no interest in I think there's a vast difference between Jesus and religion. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's my concern when I hear people do that. It's not, oh, people aren't going to like my religion. I don't, If you sat down with me and understood my theological position, when I tell you I don't care about a Facebook post about how that's going to affect Christianity in the world, you would realize that it would be true. But my concern is, if you blame everything on religion and ignore the 20th century, then you are then vulnerable to being manipulated by bad actors on the political side.
Yep.
And that's what worries me when people just have this especially in our community, when you have this like overly simplistic view that religion is the problem.
Right.
then I'm like, crap, we're gonna redo the 20th century. Good Lord, just the confluence of events with Franz Ferdinand and how that set the world in it doesn't take a lot to set the world in motion as far as getting extremely bloody. And when you combine that with social media, I'm like, all right.
Right.
We gotta like mature.
We have to.
In our thinking. Religious people need to understand that people can use religion to manipulate them. The non-religious people need to understand that it's not just religious people who do it.
No.
So, this is a.
We need to be a people who think for ourselves.
You gotta think for yourself, man. God Lord. People throw out the religion is the problem. That's why everybody's dying. Like, have you, study it yourself. Like, that's why, I think it's, important to be able to source stuff. Source it, because that means you've done the work to really think, to be able to be like, okay, let's see it. That's the thing. It's not about, intellectual elitism. It's, how do you know that what you believe is your actual thought process and not just some talking point or soundbite? And the more and more technology we have, the more difficult it becomes to do that. Because it's so easy. Get a YouTube clip. Ooh, so-and-so, 3 minutes, And so now people's entire world, think about this. You got Twitter, you've got YouTube clips, which they'll tell you if you're a YouTuber, 3 minutes max. So you got 140 characters and 3 minutes max. And whole world views are being formed.
Yep.
Whole understandings of reality are being formed by these short little clips. And so then you come along.
Most people that have zero credentials.
Yeah.
Probably got that information from someone else.
And you come along and you say, where are you getting this from? It's like, when I say source it, I'm saying do the work so that you can tell yourself, forget about me or anybody in our community, just so that you can tell yourself, no, I know it, I know where I stand here.
Yeah.
And it's not because I saw a 2-minute clip from Sam Harris or Jordan Peterson.
Right.
Because I believe this and I've done the work. Because those guys have done the reading.
Right.
That's the thing. Peterson, Harris, these guys have done some extensive reading and have wrestled with some topics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. There you go. 9.
Oh, 10,000.
Vin out.
Sorry, out.
Gone.
But I was a hopeless dream.